Oki, Itamaksknatani, good morning. It is the dawn of Monday, March 30th, 2020, in the lunar cycle Sspopiikimi, the duck moon. Just after 7 a.m. and it was kind of difficult to get out of the warm cab of my truck this morning. It's not too bad out here. It's about 2 degrees below zero, but it's just the moisture in the air makes it feel that much cooler, especially on my hand that's holding the phone. Hey, New York, how's the quarantine down your way? I know New York City was having, or was reported as having issues earlier, maybe a week ago or so. It's probably the goose couple that's planning to nest just out this way. Morning, Brian. My phone's not responding that well to my cold fingers, I guess. So this is, what, day 6 of my quarantine? No symptoms. And I'm trying to stay mostly clear of others because I'm more concerned about now contracting the virus somehow than I am the idea that I have it because I was abroad. Never ended up making out to Rest Rock this weekend. Do you believe the paranormal stories behind it? No, I do not. Well, given I don't know many stories behind it, but I know that the Paranormal Society here went out to Rest Rock and recorded some white noise. And in the white noise, thought they heard the dolls saying things like run away and this kind of stuff, and so they got themselves spooked, and then they informed the Lethbridge police that there was this illegal structure in the river bottom, and it's very evil, spirited, and that the public should be warned to stay away from there, for their spiritual safety. And it's so relaxing. Watch always but rarely comment. Oh, okay, thank you. That's the only story I heard as well. Just the one that came up on Google. Yeah, they were the ones that reported the place and almost got it torn down. Like, I was looking at plans, um, actual plans for how the city was maybe going to get out there because it's an island, um, what they were going to have to build to get out there to take this thing down. And then it was, then the art community came back and put some pressure on the city, um, partially with my assistance. And the pressure was enough for the city to take a second look at the whole thing and say, hey, that's an island in the river, and really that's not city property because it's in the river. And so we best leave those beavers alone on the other side of Rust Rock there so that it remains an island. I'm warming up my hand with breath, the hand that had been holding the phone for a bit there. Switching out. Oh, there was a couple mallard. They don't want to go far because they're going to be nesters here. These guys obviously going to nest here in the kind of peninsula formed by the sub pond. Question is, are any of these birds dropping eggs already? Because we are very close to that time, lunar-wise, with the full moon of the current cycle. That is the magic moon of triggering these geese to start laying eggs. Hey, Toronto. Getting ready for work again. Right on. Thanks for tuning in while you do. Here we got a goose couple. Gander up here, being protective. Idamix ganatani. Those geese must have wintered in some big city. Getting a little accustomed to people. That's not typical, well, they get kind of like that here. They never let you get close, but usually this time of the season they're a little bit more guarded. Magpies up in the coyote playground somewhere. That's this area up here. Yeah, Daniel. Up Sspopiikimi, white cheeks. Haven't seen the lone coyote since I've been home. Oh, these guys are looking at risky property here. Sorry guys, I don't think that's gonna stay an island very long with the thaw. Most of the geese have been tagged. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I work pretty closely out here at the pond with some of these geese when they're in their egg laying, and I haven't noticed neck bands on these ones. Like I get right close. Used to photograph them a lot too while they're sitting on their nests, and the ganders when they came up to hiss at me. Yeah, most of my studying here at the pond was triggered by an assignment when training with the beaver bundle. An assignment to renew the collection of wild waterfowl eggs to feed with the ceremony that happens this time of year. And I don't know if it were, well, I was always a kind of a naturalist, always liked to take these walks and this kind of thing, but my studies intensified hugely with that assignment and never waned since. So it was the geese, the Sspopiikimi, that really kind of brought me into the world of the pond here. It's right out here on this, you see this beaver canal that comes through here. Right on the other side of that canal, there's kind of a high point. I'll put it in the center of the screen here. It's that lighter colored grass where often there'll be a goose nest. And the first year of that assignment to get wild eggs, I came out here during this current lunar cycle, Sspopiikimi, the duck moon, because I figured, oh, the duck moon, must be when you get eggs, and it is. But when I came out, I don't know what time of the duck moon it was. I just know it was the duck moon, and there was a goose sitting on a nest right out there at that point, and I waded out to her. She got off the nest, and I made a little offering and told her what we were doing, and I took 2 of her eggs. She had about, I think, 5 or 6 eggs. I took 2 of them and brought them home and opened them up just to try them, and quickly learned that if a bird is already incubating an egg, it's too late to be harvesting them, at least, you know, by modern food aesthetic standards. People cringe at eating anything wild to begin with, and then all the more so if it's a partially developed egg, because, you know, the incubation cycle for these geese is just 28 days, right? And so that's to bring a single cell into a gosling. So a lot of development occurs very quickly, day by day in there. So if she's sitting on the nest, you're too late. So that first year I actually failed at that task, okay? And then second year I started earlier in the eagle moon, watching out here and trying to figure out when they would be laying the eggs to get them right away. And it turns out, you know, that it's much like chickens. You know, they're gonna lay a clutch of eggs. But during the time that they're laying those eggs, they don't incubate them. Reason being that they want them to hatch, you know, all on the same day. And so they just kind of cache eggs away until they have their full clutch. They kind of trench out a little scoop in the land, lay an egg, and then pull vegetation from around it, cover it up, and come back to the same spot to lay the next egg, and so on until they got their full clutch. And then when they've got, you know, when they're done laying eggs, then they'll sit on them and they pull out their belly feathers as nesting material, and they just I can usually see heat after what was that? Let me look again. Usually see heart after a week of them sitting. Okay, so any case, they just use that same spot as their nest spot. So you can, if you can get in that window, you can pull 1 or 2 eggs, and potentially, you know, if she's a seasoned mom and she's having decent clutches, you won't even detract from the goose numbers, because she'll continue to lay eggs till she has her full clutch. Of course, it won't go into infinity. You can't just take an egg from the clutch day after day and she'll just keep laying. It doesn't work like that, but you might be able to take 1 or 2 and have her replace them if you hit that window. So that's, you know, one of the skills. And once we learn the geese, then I was studying all the other, like the mallards, the teals, which are much more difficult. You know, geese are so conspicuous. They put their nests mostly on islands and or islandish areas around the river, little peninsulas and such. But the mallards and teals, not so, hey? As long as they can see the water, they get to a high spot, because they go a little bit later. They rely on the leaves, the green leaves, to kind of camouflage their nests. And so that puts them in the period when there's usually big flooding. They can't put their nests, you know, right down around the water. They got to pull back. So sometimes, you know, you find nests even way up in the brush up here, you know, duck nests. Yeah, Brian's seen a duck nest in a tree. I've seen geese nest in trees. There was a year, well, there's a Swenson's hawk nest in the Forest Main here. When we get out that way, I'll show you. But that same tree has been used by Swenson's hawks for years and years, and they don't always use it, that nest. They'll sometimes leave it dormant for 3-4 years and return to it. But the geese will scope it out on occasion and use it as a nesting site. One year I was following them pretty closely. I knew the first day that goose up there started incubating, and so, you know, 28 days later, and just that night before, we had a huge storm and it ended up blowing the nest off. Geese nest 24 flows up on the patio in Edmonton. Yeah, that's right, hey? Yeah, if they can find something that gets them away from it's the ground predators they're concerned with, hey? Nest usually, yeah. Yeah, I've got a friend who works, I think, in that building, who takes pictures of them too. Yeah, anything they can find that's islandish, in the sense that it gets them away from the ground predators. Their whole body shape is built as, you know, defense against ground predators. Their big long necks and such to look over the tundra grass. Where they really fail is being very secure against airborne predators. So it ended up being the crow in the old stories that teaches humans how to get the eggs. Babies bounce when they hit the ground running. Oh, from the tree. Yeah, I've seen like videos of things like that. Wood ducks and such. Not after you. I'm not after you. Just passing by. Yeah, they're off anyway. What was that? One year I need to film the trout run up a river in the middle of Toronto. Just timing it. Yeah, that'd be wild. I didn't even remember. I've been to Toronto a few times for business trips and education and such. I didn't even remember a river. The city that I associate with having a river, of course, Ottawa and Saskatoon. Used to take nature walks along the river in Saskatoon when I would have to camp there. It's one of my least favorite cities to go to, but at least they had a good walk along the river. This is the area I call the Owlwood because when I first started kind of studying the ecology out here, there was always a great horned owl couple that would be nested in here. But that couple died, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now. So nobody's come to take up residence anywhere around Sspopiikimi. Haven't had a great horned owl resident for a while. Oh, I really like this little area in here where the trees are kind of arching over. Gets all, you know, soft bed of leaves and stuff. Those mornings when I feel like stretching or moving around a bit or something, this is usually where I'll do it. Somebody's shelter. People are real into building survival shelters here. Never find anybody actually camping in them. When there's people camping down here, they put up tents. So woodpecker claiming territory somewhere up in here. He's up high somewhere. It's usually a downy woodpecker couple that nests in here. Can hear also the chickadee calls now and then. Sspopiikimi. Oh, there's another. It's an answer over here somewhere. Muddled though. Might be this little guy flying over. Very small bird. I don't think you can even see him. No, he's still over here somewhere. Just on the outskirt. Gets pretty flooded in here some years. Yeah, this is a pretty good corridor for catching wildlife. If you put up like a game cam just aimed in this corridor, you'll get samples of pretty much everybody that passes through. There was a couple of years that I got really into using the game cams just to see who was visiting different microenvironments in the coulee. But on a general corridor like this, you know, you get deer, coyote, raccoon, porcupine, humans. If you're close to the water, you get beaver. Even out here, you might get beaver. Magpies. The odd duck. I once set up a camera just to try to catch rodent activity. Some of the sandstone cliffs by Cottonwood Park. And I found out we got meadow voles there, sage voles, jumping mouse, deer mouse. I never caught the wood rat, but I know they're out there. And out this way too. Those are pretty big animals. I wouldn't have even known, well, I knew from books, but I never observed myself wood rats out this way in Lethbridge until a rattlesnake got kind of half bumped at the RV park and lost its last lunch, and it was a big wood rat. It was weird. Yeah, I still think these geese have a few more days before they start dropping. I suspect it'll be the same out on the island. And it's super cold this morning, so I'm making excuses not to wait out there. Might have a porcupine up in the tree over this way. Let's go check that out. I think so. This is the area where I've been seeing porcupine at Sspopiikimi for the latter part of winter. See. Getting messages from my phone carrier that I'm maxing out my infinite data program. Like, is that possible? They're threatening me that I've reached a threshold where they're gonna slow down. I can still have all the data I can use, but at a slower rate. Yeah, this is a big porcupine up here. Let's see if we can get a decent look at him. There's a big fur ball in the tree. That's the flicker going off in the background. a.k.a. porcupine. Not sure what a.k.a. would literally translate as, because, you know, porcupines. A pretty pretty bizarre word. I'm sure it doesn't translate as that, but same animal, you know. Porcupine used to be a winter delicacy. It's a very strong flavored meat. This kind of reminds me of lamb. Just take the deer trail up. Never thought of them as tree climbers. Learned something new. Oh yes, they are big time tree climbers. And in being tree climbers, they are responsible for creating really the firewood of the past. You know, nobody cut down live trees for firewood here in the past. It'd always be gathering this stuff. These fallen dead limbs, and these are created in, you know, several ways. Sometimes storms blow them down, and then the porcupines clean them up on the ground. And sometimes, you know, storms don't blow them down, but the porcupine cleans them up at the top of the trees, and then the branch dies, and then it falls down. So either way, the porcupine is involved in the manufacture of firewood here traditionally. And also, like I'm saying, a winter delicacy. Good morning, Ange. Through the forest main. Maybe we'll walk along the trail. It's kind of goes along the edge of the edge zone between the forest and the wet meadows. Yeah, take that path today. Coffee tastes good in this cold. Good morning, guys. It's a chilly one. More woodpecker activity. I'll turn you around here. Don't need to look at me too long. There we go. So this, all in here, well, this here is a spring that's fed by the river. So there's always open water here. You've probably seen in my videos, even in the coldest times of winter, 30, 40 below, it's always open water, just a little bit. And this bank that I'm walking here is a nesting ground for painted turtles. And those little suckers are gonna just emerge as things thaw here. You know, they'll start digging their ways out. They spend the winter underground here. And then in the moon that's coming right up, the next one is Sspopiikimi, the frog moon. And that's when the baby turtles will be coming out. That's when the snakes will come up out of their brumation. Adult turtles on the pond will rise, you know. Chorus frogs will start singing. All that's going to happen starting about maybe 3 weeks from now. I have never been lucky enough to be here on the bank at a time when any of the baby turtles came out and made their way to the water. I don't know if it occurs at night more often than day. I know that they nest here because I find mothers making nests here. And it's not the only place around the pond, but it's one of them that they use pretty frequently. Woodpecker, I think, right in this tree. Any rattlers? That's what I was just saying. Not for at least the next 3 weeks. But then, yeah, the rattlesnakes will be rising right along with the turtles. I also find turtle nests that have been dug up by predators along the banks here once in a while. Yeah, the herons come in, as you might imagine, just around the time that the baby turtles are emerging. We'll get maybe 2 or 3 blue herons hanging out at the pond for a couple of weeks, and then they'll take off. They never nest here, though they do, you know, in our region, there are big heron rookeries. But never here at the pond. I see them for that little window. Question, any bald eagles nearby? Yeah, I saw 2 bald eagles yesterday. In the evening, I was with Chelsea on the other side of the coulees on the other side of the west side. By if you know the area, what did they call that? It's not Sun Ridge. Oh, now that I'm not even getting the name. Anyway, it's the west side of the west side, right across from the blood reserve. There were 2 big bald eagles. I see them here at the pond mostly November, December, a little bit in January along the river here at Sspopiikimi. You know, you might also anytime see the odd one going by, but during those months, kind of midwinter months, beginning to midwinter, not kind of the end of midwinter, but beginning of the winter to midwinter, I'll see them frequently, like every day. It's pretty predictable that if I got my eyes on the sky, I'll see bald eagles. I see them up until their mating time, and on occasion I will witness them mating too. I'll see, it's usually a female sitting in the treetop, and there's a male that's kind of screaming above her in the sky, and he'll come down on her. And it's a big, you know, he makes a big ruckus out of it. But I see that happening. So right up into January, February, and then I don't see them very much. But they go, like, I think they're going to their nesting areas, and not very many nest around here. I know there's a pair that nests typically on the Research Station Road in Lethbridge, out by the acreages out there. And then I think on that Coulee Canyon by the Blood Reserve on the other side of Lethbridge. Any geocaches nearby or eagle cams? Well, there are geocaches. In fact, I could even show you one here in the forest, but I don't know if you want me giving them away. I'm not a geocache player. I imagine the etiquette is that I shouldn't show, but yeah, I know of 3 or 4 different geocaches here at Sspopiikimi, and they're probably even more. No eagle cams this way, because it's not really the big nesting territory for them. We get the odd couples nesting here, but it's not a typical thing. Yeah, I think I revealed a geocache in the first live video that I made a few days back. And then afterward, I kind of felt bad about it. I'm like, oh man, shouldn't give it away. Any Hassenfeller? What's Hassenfeller? I'm not aware. Tried duck once, couldn't eat it once, knew what it was. I don't have any problem eating duck. Rabbit. Oh yes, we've got 2 species of rabbit here in Lethbridge. One of them inhabits the brushy coulee areas like this. That is the mountain cottontail, also known as Sika. It's just black rabbit in Blackfoot. And because it doesn't change its color, hey, that one stays brown all year. Then, and it's a little bunny. Then we got a big jackrabbit that lives up on the, you know, coulee tops on the prairies. It's a big prairie rabbit, and yeah, that one's oh my god, it's just the big rabbit. Lots of bunnies. There's a couple of starling here above me. I know everybody's haters on starlings, but I don't really mind them. They're pretty metallic birds, and they're really good mimics, and they're very adaptable. And those are the guys that you want to have as your friends. Let me tell you, get the adaptable ones. That's why I got that house gecko tattooed on my arm in Costa Rica. Because if there's any animal there, you know, that inspires me, is that gecko. A gecko that lives pretty much, you know, everywhere in the tropics, and manages to survive in people's houses in a culture that normally, you know, hates reptiles. won't be too long before the mushrooms start popping up in here. This is a good edible shrooming collection area. Also, area to look for the shoots of the asparagus that will be coming out around about the same time as the frogs. I put a camera trap for a year. 1 year. Yeah, morels. Exactly. Right through here. We'll see them once they get here. I put a camera trap in this bulberry bush here for 1 year. And I just check it, like I go download the photographs off of it maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks. I got the full annual cycle in there, you know, and it was nothing, no surprises. You know, lots of the same guys that I see around. I guess the thing that surprised me the most was seeing different ducks and stuff go through there, but that shouldn't really be surprising. Lots of pheasants and deer. Not great at spelling Blackfoot words except through phonics. Okay, foggy. Sspopiikimi. So A.I.S.S.I.N. I think there might be Sinatsi. N. Okay, so just the N-A-T-S-I. I think that's how it would be. Sspopiikimi. Foggy. And it's talking about all the little, yeah, I think it would be something like that. Yeah, Sspopiikimi, it's foggy. And it's that's talking about the little, the humid particles in the air, hey? Well, particles in the air in general. Because I think the word for dusty, to see dust and stuff like that, is very close. I don't remember it offhand, but and of course the word for a sweat, you know, ska. Sspopiikimi. Is that for dust? For dusty? ID 10T error? No. Is that something that'll come up on my phone? Foggy day. Okay. Yeah, no, I've never had that error come up. But this, any deer or bear or elk? Yeah, all of the above on occasion. deer almost always. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen any, but they're all over the place here. We got white-tailed deer and mule deer, and in the forest here I typically see the whitetails, and then up on the coulee slopes I'll see the mule deer. Elk more in the mountains, but they do come down once in a while. We even get moose coming down once in a while through Lethbridge. And bear, yeah, both black and brown bears in the mountains here and the foothills, kind of just southwest of here. And occasionally, rare occasion, we might get a black bear come through Lethbridge. But you know, if I drive an hour, I can see potentially a brown bear. So we're pretty close to all that really big mammal North American action. Canadian moose, yeah. Yeah, I'm in Canada. I'm in southern Alberta, just on the plains just east of the Rockies. Maybe an hour's drive from the mountains. You know, if I was going west, an hour's drive or so from the border of Montana if I was going south. Why don't you say ah? I do. It all depends on, you know, the context and stuff. I talk as I'm gonna talk. Sometimes I say ah, usually when I know I'm talking to Blackfoot speakers. Eh? Oh, why don't I say eh? Yeah. I don't know. I do say eh sometimes as well. I think I used to say it a lot when I was, you know, more earlier to Canada. You know, then you get the art of it and you don't have to actually say a, you just raise the last part, the intonation of whatever the sentence is you're saying, you know. There's definitely some stronger pockets of the stereotyped Canadian accent. It's not so much here. This place has its own flavor though. What is your day job? The college. I don't really have any consistent day job. I'm a contractor, basically. And so some years, I mean, throughout most of the summer, my day job is just wildlife work. I work with mitigating human and rattlesnake situations, and of course I do my trap and relocating. Yeah, it's looking pretty close out there. I think I should pack waders and go check things out. Maybe tomorrow. maybe that can be our walk. We'll cross the river and go check things out. They might be caching eggs at this point. Some of them. What question was I addressing before I got thinking about the geese? Can't remember. The flickers have really gone after these ant nests. Oh, my day job. Yeah, I don't really have... So I work wildlife in the summers typically, and I'm very busy with that. And if I have to work something else, it's usually a struggle for me, but I do it. You know, sometimes I have, like this summer, if the apocalypse ends, then I will be running a Blackfoot Arts and Entrepreneurship program for a local Aboriginal employment agency, SAMIS. And this will be the second time I've run this particular program for them. I just finished running one through this winter. It's not the first time I've run programs for them, but this program in particular. Now, some winters I find a little work teaching as a sessional, you know, at the college, Lethbridge College, or at the University of Lethbridge. I might on occasion be asked to teach a class or something for Native Studies. And then there's been winters when I've done research for the college. You know, research involving Aboriginal education. See, most of my professional career has been in Aboriginal education, post-secondary education in particular. Straight out of grad school, go after that goal. Yep, you bet, chase that guy away. You know what he's after. I was recruited straight out of grad school to work at Red Crow College on the Blood Reserve as a new program called Kainai Studies was emerging, and it was an undergraduate program that was going to explore Blackfoot language and knowledge, not in response to Western academic disciplines, except where the two conversations met, but more out of a Blackfoot knowledge paradigm position where, okay, what are the different things going on in the world that we want to understand, and how would we approach them from a Blackfoot knowledge perspective. And so we had all kinds of different classes emerge from that program, including classes where I had students studying the phenology of plants and animals in a place like this for a whole annual round, and we'd have classes where we go around and visit the sacred sites and historical sites and such of the community. We had lots of language and philosophy courses, and the program grew. Have you ever listened to KQRS 95? I don't know if I have. I don't listen to much radio. I don't know. It's been interesting, moving into this the age of YouTube and podcasts and such, and the format of radio is not as appealing for whatever reason. I enjoy listening to podcasts, and sometimes the two are the same. There'd be a radio show turned into a podcast, and so there's some radio shows that have that kind of longer form, but a lot of them don't. And I've been on radio shows myself, so I kind of I understand that in most cases you're really not getting any in-depth treatment of the subject matter. You're just barely being introduced, whereas in a long format you can follow through a whole study, and I don't know, not question the the radio program right off the bat. I'm just saying, the likelihood of me having listened to any radio show in recent years it doesn't happen. Pretty quiet in the North Wood. Least offensive Indigenous, Native American, Aboriginal. Who is the least offensive? What does that mean? Are there a lot of offensive people? I don't get the question. My late friend Narcissus Blood was an artist of relationships and didn't have a racist side to him, and was very inoffensive to almost everybody he met. But that's not because of being Aboriginal or anything. It's just being a good human. Sspopiikimi. we will soon be back to the parking lot. So if anybody's got any questions or anything, now's the time to throw them out there, because I'll be signing off soon. Getting a little bit of green coming up. This is wormwood, also known as absinthe. This is the area that I call the absinthe field, because it's full of this plant. These tall stems are the flowering stems of the absinthe, which is indeed the same plant that one would distill to create the hallucinogenic liquor that is outlawed in all but like 1 or 2 countries of the world. Name my bird Sparky too. Yeah, there's plants with 2 names, like absinthe and wormwood. On the absinthe side, you got the weird hallucinogenic liquor history. On the wormwood side, you have a medicine for getting rid of parasites, but it's a dangerous plant. Wouldn't mess with it unless you really knew what you were doing. Words to avoid: snafu, foobar, and jumbo shrimp. I will bear that in mind. Oh, look, we've got the male robin. Hadn't seen a robin yet this morning, but there he is. And I suppose I should swing around so as not to disturb him from his perch. Let's go see the ant hive over here real quick, see if they're out on the surface like they were the other day. Shouldn't be this below 0 temperature, but negative. Yeah. Oh yeah, you watch my daily journal vlog. Haven't tried that non-alcoholic brew you showed yet, but we'll keep an eye out for it. Black flies around here either. Hi to Chelsea. Yeah, that particular Klostaller German non-alcoholic beer is the, I've tried them all, and it's the it's the one that tastes closest to an actual beer. And all the grocery stores here sell it, but everybody likes it, so they have a hard time keeping it in stock. Safeways and Sspopiikimi sells it in cans, and Save On Food sells it in glass bottles. For those that don't want to weaken their immune system too bad on this apocalypse. Did I wash my hands today? Yeah, in the morning. First up in the morning. Yeah, day 6, going into day 6. So my goal today is to make a 5-minute video for the school kids, for Lethbridge Public Schools, about why this is Blackfoot territory. This is one of a few videos I'm being asked to make during this isolation time. Strong miso soup paste daily. Is that supposed to be a good immuno thing? Thanks, Brian. You have a nice day too. I am going to be tuning out here. Train. Yeah, there's a train coming. There's a train up on the track, actually. Up on the bridge, just sitting there. Well, see if I can zoom in. See it there? Bet, Darren. Spicy bean paste. Yeah, it's soy. Alright, all. Keramatsu no boa. Give you a adios.